Nirvisesha Shubhya Desha Tare. Are you able to see the screen all right? Is that okay?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to continue reading with Srimad Bhagavatam today. We are on Canto 6, chapter 11. Today we'll read text 22. Does anyone quickly want to say what we read yesterday?
Hare Krishna, we just read that how there was a fight going on between Vṛtrāsura and Indradev, and how Vṛtrāsura hit, and then they both went quite far away, and then the elephant was quite hurt, and even the Indra, and then Indra touched the elephant with his Amrit hand, and then the elephant got well, and then again he started the fight, and then he said that, and then Vṛtrāsura very beautifully in the end said that, don't worry, this will work for me. And then this Vrajra will kill me, don't worry, just hit Indra, come on, get all your strength and just hit me with the Vrajra, because this is going to kill me and this is going to deliver me from all my sins and I'm going to get liberated. So Indra doubted that, is it going to work or not? But Vṛtrāsura, being a devotee, had no doubt that because it was made by the Diti's bone and it was provided by Lord Vishnu, so it is going to win. It is going to work and he's going to get liberated. So it will be a win situation for him. And though Indra will win, but still he will remain in this material world, and he will be in the cycle of birth and death, and Vṛtrāsura will be liberated and gone to back home, back to Godhead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, yesterday we saw the eagerness that Vṛtrāsura was showing, that he wanted to quickly give up this body and go back home, back to Godhead. So he kept encouraging Indra that, come hit me with the thunderbolt. Yes, thank you. So reading on. Pumsam kilaikanta diyam swakanam.
Pumsam
Kilaikantadiyam swakanam
Yasam padode vibhumau rasayam.
Yasam padudivimau rasaya
Narati yadvesha udvega adir.
Narati yadvesha udvega adir
Mada kalirvyasanam samprayashaha.
Mada kalirvyasanam samprayasaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Persons who fully surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always think of His lotus feet are accepted and recognized by the Lord as His own personal assistants or servants. The Lord never bestows upon such servants the brilliant opulences of the upper, lower, and middle planetary systems of this material world. When one possesses material opulence in any of these three divisions of the universe, his possessions naturally increase his enmity, anxiety, mental agitation, pride, and belligerence. Thus, one goes through much endeavor to increase and maintain his possessions, and he suffers great unhappiness when he loses them. Purport in Bhagavad Gita 4.11, the Lord says, Ye yatamam prapatyante tams tatheva bhajami aham mama vartamano vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. As devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Both Indra and Vṛtrāsura were certainly devotees of the Lord. Although Indra took instructions from Vishnu to kill Vṛtrāsura, the Lord was actually more favorable to Vṛtrāsura, because after being killed by Indra's thunderbolt, Vṛtrāsura would go back to Godhead, whereas the victorious Indra would rot in this material world. Because both of them were devotees, the Lord awarded them the respective benedictions they wanted. Vṛtrāsura never wanted material possessions, for he knew very well the nature of such possessions. To accumulate material possessions, one must labor very hard. And when he gets them, he creates many enemies, because this material world is always full of rivalry. If one becomes rich, his friends or relatives are envious. For Ekanta Bhaktas, unalloyed devotees, Krishna therefore never provides material possessions. So here we are hearing, Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, that Krishna, he fulfilled both their desires. Indra and Vṛtrāsura both are devotees of Krishna. And Krishna is fulfilling both their desires. Indra wants to have his kingdom, so Krishna is going to provide him that. Vṛtrāsura wants to go back home, back to Godhead, and Krishna is going to provide him that. Vṛtrāsura here is mentioning that one has to work very hard in the material world to get opulence. It doesn't come easy. For anything that we want to possess, we have to work hard. It could be in any field, any opulence. It could be wealth, it could be beauty, knowledge. Always have to work very hard. And then once one gets the possessions, one also may invite some kind of enmity, some kind of envy. So a devotee sometimes needs some material possessions for preaching, but the possessions of a preacher are not like those of a karmi. A karmi's possessions are achieved as a result of karma, but those of a devotee are arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to facilitate his devotional activities. Because a devotee never uses material possessions for any purpose other than the service of the Lord. The possessions of a devotee are not to be compared to those of a karmi. So Prabhupada is pointing out that a devotee also needs material things. Why? For propagation of Krishna consciousness. The devotee is using everything for service of Krishna. He does not need the material possessions for his own pleasure, but to give Krishna consciousness to others, to spread Krishna consciousness. And that material possessions, that opulence, is given by the Supreme Lord himself. So it's different. It's different for a devotee, different for an ordinary materialist. For ordinary materialist, he gets it as a result of his karma. A devotee gets it because it's arranged by Krishna. Krishna is saying, as one surrenders, I reward them accordingly. Vartikas kaya savigatamasmat
त्रैवर्तिकायासविघातमस्मत्
patir viddate purushasya shakra.
Pati
विद्यते पुरुषस्य शक्र
Tato numeyo bhagavat prasado.
Tato
ततोऽन्यो भगवत्प्रसादो
Yodurlabho kinchana gocharonyeha.
Yodur
यो दुर्लभो किञ्चन गोचरोऽन्ये
Our Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, forbids his devotees to endeavor uselessly for religion, economic development, and sense gratification. O Indra, one can thus infer how kind the Lord is. Such mercy is obtainable only by unalloyed devotees, not by persons who aspire for material gains. So who's speaking? Who's giving this knowledge?
Vṛtrāsura.
Vṛtrāsura. So we can see he's a pure devotee. There are four objectives in human life, namely religiosity, dharma, economic development, artha, sense gratification, calm, and liberation, moksha, from the bondage of material existence. People generally aspire for religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification. But a devotee has no other desire than to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, both in this life and in the next. So generally people say, what we do is we engage in some pious activity so that we can get pious result, so that we can enjoy more. And then some may be interested in liberation, but not many. But a pure devotee, what he wants is only service. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundaram, kavitam va jagadisha kamaya, mama janmani janmani ishvare, bhavatad bhaktir ahaituki tvai. Lord Chaitanya teaches in the 4th verse of the Shikshastakam that a pure devotee is saying na dhanam, na janam, na sundaram, that he does not want any wealth, he does not want any followers, nor does he want association with the opposite gender for sense gratification. Only thing he aspires for is pure devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord, life after life. So one may say, oh, but the goal is to go back to Godhead. Well, there is no difference between going back to Godhead and engaging in pure devotional service. Pure devotee is always with Krishna. He's rendering personal service to Krishna. So it is going back to Godhead. Prabhupada would say pure devotee is always in Vrindavan. The special mercy for the unalloyed devotee is that the Lord saves him from hard labor to achieve the results of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Of course, if one wants such benefits, the Lord certainly awards them. Indra, for example, although a devotee, was not much interested in release from material bondage. Instead, he desired sense gratification and a high standard of material happiness in the heavenly planets. Lord Indra is the king of heaven. His sense of enjoyment is very, very high. Because after all, it's the heavenly planet. Vṛtrāsura, however, being an unalloyed devotee, aspired only to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unalloyed devotee means no mixture.
Pure devotee.
But yes, pure. Thank you. Alloy means a mixture of metals, like there's something mixed up there. Unalloyed is pure devotee. Thank you. So Vṛtrāsura aspired only to serve Krishna. Therefore, the Lord arranged for him to go back to Godhead after his bodily bondage was destroyed by Indra. Vṛtrāsura requested Indra to release his thunderbolt against him as soon as possible, so that both he and Indra would benefit according to their proportionate advancement in devotional service. Both will get the result. Krishna is fulfilling both their desires. So we can say, see how Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal. Aham parita vapade kamula.
Aham
Aham haritava padakamula
Dasanudaso bhavitasmi bhuya.
Dasanudaso bhavitasmi bhuyah
Manasmareta supater gunamste.
Manasmarita supate gunamste
Vṛnīta vakarma karotu kāyaha.
Vrinita vakarma karotu kayaha.
My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet. O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes. My words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. This verse gives the sum and substance of devotional life. One must first become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Dasanodas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, and he also showed by his own example that a living entity should always desire to be a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. Gopi bharatu padakamalayor dasa dasanu dasa. So Lord Chaitanya, he especially came to teach us that, being a servant of the servant of the servant of the maintainer of the gopis, Krishna. So not being directly a servant of Krishna, but being a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. This means that one must accept a spiritual master who comes in the disciplic succession and is a servant of the Lord. Under his direction, one must then engage one's three properties, namely his body, mind, and words. The body should be engaged in physical activity under the order of the master. The mind should think of Krishna incessantly, and one's words should be engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord. If one is thus engaged in the loving service of the Lord, one's life is successful. So Prabhupada is pointing out here, serving the Lord with body, mind, and words. Body, physical activity. So many different activities that we can do. Cleaning the temple, cooking for the Lord, or offering worship. Mind, thinking of Krishna incessantly. Words, preaching the glories of the Lord, chanting the holy name, thus making the life successful. So there is a pastime in this regard. There's one very great devotee in South India. He was worshipping the deity personally. And the deity would talk to him. And then one day when somebody asked this devotee, can you ask the deity, when will I go back to Godhead? So he asked. The deity said, very soon, this life. So then this devotee asked him, when will I go back to Godhead? He said, not yet. The deity told him, not yet. He said, hey, how come not yet? I'm worshipping you personally. Not yet. This other person you're saying will go back this life. He said, because you're worshipping me, you're directly my servant, but you haven't served the devotees. Then he was searching for somebody that he could serve them, but nobody would allow him to serve them because they would say, no, no, you're such a great devotee. You are personally serving the Lord. The Lord is talking to you. How can we allow you to serve us? So nobody was allowing him to serve him. Then what he did under disguise, he took a disguise and then he was taking care of the cows in somebody's house. And like that, he was serving them for some time. Then they realized, oh, this is this devotee, but he did some service. And then the deity said, yes, now you can come back to Godhead because now you have served the devotees. So goes to show the Vaishnav Seva, serving the devotees. Mahad Seva Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes. Rishabdev also says, Lord Rishabdev, serving the devotees opens the door to liberation. So serving the devotees, very powerful. Nanaka Prishtam Nacha Parameshyam
Nanakapristam Nachaparameshyam
Nasarvabhaumam Narasadhipatyam
Sarvabhaumam Narasadhipatyam
Na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va
Na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va
samanjasatva virahaya kankshe
Samajjasva
Virahaya.
O my Lord, source of all opportunities, I do not desire to enjoy in Dhruvalok, the heavenly planets, or the planet where Lord Brahma resides, nor do I want to be the supreme ruler of all the earthly planets or the lower planetary systems. I do not desire to be master of the powers of mystic yoga nor do I want liberation if I have to give up your lotus feet. A pure devotee never desires to gain material opportunities by rendering transcendental service to the Lord. When Lord Nishingadev asked Prahlad Maharaj, what you want? I'm happy with you. Ask me something. Prahlad Maharaj says, no, I don't want anything. Lord says, no, ask me something. Prahlad Maharaj says, I'm not a businessman. It's not that I'm serving you because I want something. No, I just want to serve you. So here Prabhupada is mentioning pure devotee does not want anything in return. He just wants to engage in loving service to the Lord. It's a relationship. It's a loving relationship. A pure devotee desires only to engage in loving service to the Lord in the constant association of the Lord and his eternal associates, as stated in the previous verse, Dasanu Daso Bhavitasmi. So he wants personal service of the Lord. He wants to engage in personal service along with the other devotees. Devotee understands it's not that it's only the Lord and him. No, Krishna is never alone. Krishna is always surrounded by so many devotees. So many, the gopas, the gopis, the birds, the peacocks, the cows, the trees, the flowers, everyone. As confirmed by Narottam Das Thakur, Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas, Janme Janme Haya, Ei Abhilash. To serve the Lord and the servants of his servants in the association of devotees is the only objective of a pure, unalloyed devotee. So we can see here the mood of Vṛtrāsura by his prayers that he's offering. He just wants to engage in pure devotional service. He's a pure devotee of the Lord. Ajata paksha iva matram khaggaha.
Ajātapaksha
Ivamatram khagaha
Tanyam yathavat satara ashud artaha.
satyam yathavat
Yathavat sataraha shud artaha
Priyam priyeva vyushitam vishanna.
priyam priyeva
priyeva
vishitam
yushitam
vishanna
Mano ravindakshadidre shate tvam.
Manoravindakshadidrakshate
Manor
tvam.
O lotus-eyed Lord, as baby birds that have not yet developed their wings always look for their mother to return and feed them, as small calves tied with ropes await anxiously the time of milking, when they will be allowed to drink the milk of their mothers, or as a morose wife whose husband is away from home always longs for him to return and satisfy her in all respects. I always yearn for the opportunity to render direct service unto you. A pure devotee always yearns to associate personally with the Lord and render service unto him. So he wants personal association with the Lord. The examples given in this regard are most appropriate. A small baby bird is practically never satisfied, except when the mother bird comes to feed it. A small calf is not satisfied unless allowed to suck the milk from the mother's udder. And a chaste, devoted wife, whose husband is away from home, is never satisfied until she has the association of her beloved husband. So he's a pure devotee. He's longing so much to be personally with the Lord. Comments? Questions?
I'm
Hare
just
Krishna. So, again, we are seeing the Vṛtrāsura is, although he's so much in distress, like we read before, he's not disturbing the Lord for helping him, but he's praying for his lotus feet to go back home to Godhead. So, like a pure devotee should be. So,
Yes, that's right. Although he's in such a yes, it's true. He's in the middle of a battle. And he's praying for pure devotional service. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
But it
Krishna.
says that we have to serve, be a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. So how
Yeah.
can you serve that way? See, now here he's asking for direct, right, to directly serve Krishna.
Yeah.
So
So,
then,
but
yeah.
the devotees always want to associate with Krishna, but they understand that they are not directly going to serve Krishna. They want to serve Krishna under the direction of the other devotee, under the order, like how Prabhupada mentioned, for example, under the orders of the spiritual master. So, serving the spiritual master or serving the other devotees, making the other devotees happy. In this way, we can serve Krishna. So
Yeah,
Vṛtrāsura
but then in
also,
the
he
case of
longed for
Vṛtrāsura,
association.
okay,
Earlier, he longed that I want to associate with the devotees who are there always at your lotus feet. Like for example, in the spiritual world also. So it's not like directly one may be able to serve Krishna, because Srimati Radharani is directly serving Krishna. But then serving those who are serving under her, like Srila Rupa Goswami, so Rupa Manjari, like that. So serving those great devotees who are serving Krishna. And in that way, the devotee is always happy. Like Mahaprabhu came to give us Manjari Bhav, especially in this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, where the devotee is praying that they want to, praying to Tulsi Maharani to be a servant of the cowherd girls and servant of Tulsi Maharani, means serving under the lotus feet of Tulsi Devi and the other gopis to serve Radha and Krishna in that mood. So being a servant of the servant of the servant. And here also serving under the devotees, following the orders of the senior devotees and whatever service is required for the pleasure of Krishna, for propagating the Krishna consciousness movement. So following the orders of the seniors. Is that okay?
yes. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Shilpa ji. I just wanted to say that this Vṛtrāsura, we have read before that how when you are in distress, you should always remember Krishna. At the right time, when the things are right, then we can definitely remember. But when even in distress you remember, then that's the pure devotee do that. So that also glorifies Vṛtrāsura, that, and he never expected anything bad for Indradev. He was wanting that it will be good for both of us. So he's also like Mahatma, that he could see that he's also part and parcel of Krishna, Indradev and everybody. So he said that it's for good. And even previously he said that you can't do this. You can't hurt. They are running away, all the asuras. So you can't kill them like that. So he is showing the symptoms of all the pure devotees. Symptoms are there. That how he's behaving. He's not just like for saying. His behavior is like that. How he's behaving. He's behaving like a pure devotee, a Mahatma.
Yeah, thank you. That's right. Thank you.
And like one thing that you mentioned about the serving, the pure devotee, I think you mentioned in few cantos back that मन कर्म और वचन से हम सर्व कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज समटाइम्स पीपल माइट थिंक कि हम तो सर्व नहीं कर पाएंगे, ऐसे हम थोड़े ना वो कर सकते हैं, बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करने कहाँ जाएंगे, हम कुछ ऐसा नहीं कर सकते पर्सनली जाके, उनके लिए पॉसिबल नहीं होता. But that doesn't mean that. So it means कि आप अपने फ्रेंड को दे दो या उसे कुछ कहानी सुना दो कृष्णा के बारे में. That is also considered preaching. Even if you help in cooking, that is also preaching. क्योंकि वो प्रसाद कोई खाएगा तो उनको कृष्णा का वो मिलेगा. So that is also considered in preaching and serving. अगर आपने वो बताया है तो yes, you take instruction, ask them इसीलिए there is one thing very important. Sometimes while serving, we want to do it on our own. So rather than doing it, ask your guru or ask your other senior devotees that should I do this? Is it okay? Is it okay? Should I do this? So always ask and do the seva.
Yeah, very good. Wonderful, yes. And because the seniors, they will also engage us in some services, or is there any service I can do? We can ask the senior devotees, is there any service for me? And they will engage us in some service or the other. As you said, maybe there's cooking service, maybe there is whatever, some appropriate service for us. Maybe there's something to clean, maybe there's something to buy, supermarket, anything. There's so many different services one can do. So if we ask the senior devotees, then they can engage us in the service. Yes, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Mamotam shloka janeshu sakhyam.
Mamotam
Shloka
shlokajanishu sakyam.
Samsara chakre brahmata swakarmabhe.
Samsara
Chakre Swakarma.
Varmaya yatmatmajadara geheshwar. Asakta chittasya nanatha bhuya. Oh, my Lord, my Master, I'm wandering throughout this material world as a result of my fruitive activities. Therefore, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of your external energy, but I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 6th canto, 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Transcendental Qualities of Vṛtrāsura. So we can see, also reminds me of Kunti Maharani's prayer, where she says, please cut my attachment to the Vrishnis and to the Vishnus and to the Pandavas.
To her sons. To her sons also, yeah, she asks.
Yeah, to her sons, yeah.
Yes.
So she says, please cut my attachment so that my only attachment is to you. Vṛtrāsura is also saying that he just wants to associate with the pure devotees. It's only in the association of devotees that we can engage in devotional service. Krishna says that he is in the heart of the devotees. He's wherever the devotees are hearing and chanting his names. So here we can see Vṛtrāsura is seeking the association of devotees. Wherever the devotees are, Krishna is there. So he's saying, let me be attached only to you. My mind, my consciousness, everything I have be attached only to you. So that brings us to end of chapter 11. Did anyone want to add anything to that?
Also, I was just thinking like how we put the jal every day, right, on Tulsi Devi. So that's also serving, right? The devotee.
That's yes, of course, yes. When we are serving Tulsi Maharani, it's serving the devotee, yes, of course.
So that, okay, so that's one way of also, right? Serving.
Yes. Yeah, when we are hearing Prabhupada's books, we are reading Prabhupada's books at service to Srila Prabhupada. When we are hearing from the devotees, we are serving them. Even hearing is a service. When we are chanting, that's our personal service to Krishna. And then, of course, so hearing and chanting, so we are engaging in service. And then we can also engage to spread Krishna consciousness to others, give Krishna consciousness to others in some way or the other. Could be our family, our children, grandchildren, whoever is willing to listen. Cooking prasad for them is a service. That's how we give Krishna to others. So many different ways. Yeah. So, shall we start reading a bit of this for a few minutes? Yeah, I think the introduction we could read. Okay, chapter 12, Vṛtrāsura's glorious death. This chapter describes how Indra, the king of heaven, killed Vṛtrāsura despite great reluctance. After Vṛtrāsura finished speaking, he released his trident against King Indra with great anger. But Indra, using his thunderbolt, which was many times more powerful than the trident, broke the trident to pieces and cut off one of Vṛtrāsura's arms. Nevertheless, Vṛtrāsura used his remaining arm to strike Indra with an iron mace, making the thunderbolt fall from Indra's hand. Indra, being very ashamed of this, did not pick up the thunderbolt from the ground. But Vṛtrāsura encouraged King Indra to pick it up and fight. Vṛtrāsura then spoke to King Indra as follows, instructing him very well. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said, is the cause of victory and defeat. Not knowing that the Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes, fools and rascals try to take credit for victory or defeat themselves. But everything is actually under the control of the Lord. No one but him has any independence. The Purusha, the enjoyer, and Prakriti, the enjoyed, are under the control of the Lord, for it is by his supervision that everything works systematically. Not seeing the hand of the Supreme in every action, a fool considers himself the ruler and controller of everything. When one understands, however, that the real controller is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is freed from the relativities of the world, such as distress, happiness, fear, and impurity. Thus, Indra and Vṛtrāsura not only fought, but also engaged in philosophical discourses. Then they began to fight again. This time, Indra was more powerful, and he severed Vṛtrāsura's remaining arm. Vṛtrāsura then assumed a gigantic form and swallowed King Indra. But Indra, being protected by the talisman known as Narayan Kavach, was able to protect himself even within Vṛtrāsura's body. Thus he emerged from Vṛtrāsura's abdomen and severed the demon's head from his body with his powerful thunderbolt. Severing the demon's head took 1 complete year to accomplish. So we are going to read this amazing chapter tomorrow, text by text. This was just like a short summary given by Srila Prabhupada. We'll continue with it tomorrow.
Hare Krishna, Shilpaji. I just have one question or one realization. I don't know. So please, can you exaggerate a little more on that? That like how Vṛtrāsura was just born out of fire, the yajna, right? And he wasn't raised as a child doing things, but it was like, this is to glorify that how our bhakti goes with us. So maybe in his previous life, he must have done something.
Oh, yeah,
That was, that's what I'm trying to tell. Yeah. So, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. He's just born. He's not raised in any way that the beautiful instructions he's giving at this time. So the bhakti goes. So that makes our firm determination comes that this is not a wrong path. And then this, whatever we are doing today, it will be carried with us. We'll start. So no matter where he was born at that moment, but still that bhakti was him, and he was able to, give it to others at the time of need. And he was able to remember like how Gajendra did. So like, this is like, these are stories, and I heard a very beautiful part that in Bhagavatam, there are no, in the movies and in the material world, there are heroes and there are villains. But there, they are all heroes who are telling us what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
All are
That's
heroes in Bhagavatam. And they tell us that what is the right way and what is not the right way, like what to do and what not to do. So yeah, he's telling us that how to do things, and some tell us that what not to do.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
and like how he carries him, it's so beautiful. That is not going to be lost.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful realization. Yeah, that devotional service is not lost. One more evidence. Yes, very good. Very good. Thank you for that. Thank you. And we'll continue reading this chapter tomorrow then. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare